In this video, we will look at array methods, which are higher order functions which can be used for manipulating arrays efficiently. So I'll just go ahead and define an array of numbers quickly and put in random numbers there and save. I didn't write that properly. This is supposed to be a comma, not a dot. So the first array method we'll look at is called map. So the map method, this is how we use it. So you write the name of the array, then with the dot operator. So you see that my text editor is giving me auto completion of some of the array methods and properties that we can have access to. So I'll write the map method. Now the map method is a higher order function that takes another function as a callback function. So we write a function using the function keyword, and this function is called an anonymous function because it's a function that doesn't have a name. And then in curly brackets I put in my logic. So I want to map through this array, which is my number array, and then double the number. So I'll just say, so over here I can have access to the individual elements in an array. So I'll just say for number. So I'm looping through the number array, and then I'm having access to the individual elements. So I can use any variable name here or parameter name here. So I can say value or num or element. So it depends on what you want. So I'll just go ahead and write number. So in my curly bracket, I can say it should return number times what 2. So this is how we can use the map method to loop through an array method. So mind you, this will return what? A result. So I can capture those results. So I can say const results into a variable. I can capture the results and then capture it into the results variable, and then I'll console.log results and save. So when I go to my terminal and clear it quickly and then run using node, I'll say app.js, we get the results in our terminal or terminal over here. So whenever we use this map method, it will return to us a new array. So this new array is different from the initial array. So I can go ahead and then console.log my numbers array again. When I go to my terminal and run my app, you see that we have our initial array still there, and then we have this new array returned by the map function. So let me just remove this number here, this decimal number here. So that is how we can use the map method to loop through an array. Now, we learned about arrow functions, so we can use arrow functions to simplify this. So I'll rewrite this. So I'll just say const results, and then use the same map method. So I'll say dot map, and then instead of writing the function keyword, I'll use the arrow function syntax over here, and then I'll just return what? Number. I'll first of all take the number variable here, which will refer to the individual elements in the array. So number, then I'll multiply it by 2 and save. I'm getting this error because I can say let me just use let, and then I don't have to redeclare it here. I can just say reassign the let to this. So even though they are doing the same thing, I can just comment this out for us to see quickly. I'll just show let here. I can use const as well. So this is what the arrow function syntax of what we've done initially. So you see that with the arrow function syntax, this is more concise and simple to write. And when I go ahead and then console.log results in my terminal, so I'll just clear the terminal quickly and run my code, we get the same results printed in the terminal. So with this, we can access the individual element and also the index of the elements of the array. So since I'm going to put in a lot of code here, I'll put this in curly bracket and then console.log what the index of the elements here. So I'll just comment this out, and when I go ahead and then run my code, we get the index of the individual elements in the what in the array. So we can have access to the individual element, and finally we can have access to the array itself. So I can just go ahead and then console.log the array and run my code. we get the array printed out, the number of times these elements are in the array. So that is it. So with this map function, which is a higher order function, you can have access to all this. So if you don't want to work with the index or the array itself, but just the elements, you can just do this and you are good to go. So that's it about the map method. So I'll go ahead and then comment it out, and we'll look at another array method. So the next one we'll look at is the filter method, which creates a new array with elements that passes the text implemented by the provided function. So with the same numbers array, let's look at how we can use the filter element. So I'll just say const. So since it returns a new array, we have to save it to a variable. So I'll just say const filtered array and assign it to what? Numbers dot filter. So you see that text editor gives us auto completion, and this one also takes what is a callback function. So I'll use the arrow function syntax. So I'll say for number is too long, I'll just say for value, and I'll return what? Value, let's say greater than 50. So I'll just return the values that are, or the numbers that are greater than 50, and then I'll go ahead and then console.log filtered array. When I go to my terminal, and then first of all I'll clear it and then run my app.js, we get to our 59 and then 200. So these are values that are greater than what? 50. So these have passed our filtered function. So it also returns what? A new array to us. It doesn't alternate the initial array. So that is it about the filter method. Another array method we'll look at is called the reduce method. The reduce method applies a function against an accumulator and each element in the array to reduce it to a single value. So I'll just say const total equals, so I'll say numbers dot reduce, and then this reduce method takes two arguments. So the first argument is supposed to be a callback function, and then the second argument is an initial value. So I'll just say 0. So the initial value is 0. So in my function, the first argument is going to be the accumulator, and then the current value. I'll just use this current value, and then I'll return a function whereby I'll say the accumulator plus what? The current value, and save. And when I go ahead and then console.log total and go to my terminal, first of all clear it out and then run my app.js, we get 308. So this is the function of the this is what the reduce method does. It takes all the individual elements in an array and then returns a single value for that. So it takes two arguments. The first argument is our callback function, and then the second argument is our initial value. So over here, when I start when I assign the initial value to, let's say, 100, you see that it will change from 308 to 408. When I run this, we get 408. So this is our initial value, and then in the callback function we have two arguments or parameters here, which is the accumulator and then the current value, and then I'm just adding the accumulator to the current value. So that is it about the reduce method. The next method we'll look at is the for each method. With the for each method, is used to loop through an array to perform a particular task. So it can also be used to just like a normal loop. So I'll just say numbers dot for each, which also takes in a callback function. So I'll just say for each element in the array, just console.log what? The element, and save this. Let me do that properly. So when I go to my terminal and then use node to run my app.js, we get the individual elements printed in the console. So the for each method, even though it's a higher order function, it doesn't return a new array. So it can also be used to what? Loop through an array. So these are some of the common array methods that we have in JavaScript. There are other array methods that we didn't talk about. So when I go ahead, just write numbers dot. When I use the dot, you see that we have all these methods and properties that we can use on arrays. So you can go ahead and then look at them yourself and see how you can work with them. So that's all for this video. Please subscribe and like for more videos and content like this. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.